In this video, we're going to talk about how to monitor AWS service health and how to make sure your environment follows basic best practices. Even if you design everything correctly, if something breaks under the hood or you misconfigure a security setting, your users will feel it. You want a clear way to see what's going on and get quick guidance on what to fix and improve in your account. So let's start by zooming out for a second and looking at how your AWS account actually works behind the scenes. Think of your AWS account as a living system. It's not a set it and forget it thing. You need visibility when issues happen, and you need ongoing checks to catch misconfigurations and efficiencies over time. AWS's infrastructure is spread across the world and organized into regions. You may already have watched our previous videos on explaining AWS global infrastructure, and you may already know what will be the best practices of deploying your applications. But the interesting thing is, even with having all the redundancies in place, things can still go wrong. An AWS AZ might have an issue, or a service in a specific region might be impacted, and so on and so forth. And when that happens, you don't want to guess. You want a clear view of which services you're using are healthy and which ones are having problems. And this is where AWS Health service comes into play. AWS Health is your personalized health monitor for AWS services that you use in your account. Instead of checking a general public status page and trying to figure out if something applies to you, AWS Health focuses only on what is directly relevant to your resources. There are two main ways of using this service. The first one is in the AWS Management Console, and in that, the health dashboard shows ongoing and recent events that affect your services and resources. For example, you can filter by region, service, or time, and this would help you quickly answer, is this outage related to my issue, or is anything unhealthy in my main production region that it's affected right now? And the other method of using it is using via API. The AWS Health API gives you the same information in a format that your tools or script that you have can use it to build an internal health dashboard or send automatic messages to a chat channel when a new health event appears, or automatically open incident ticket for you when a specific service in a specific region is impacted. The key idea is, within these two methods, it will give you enough of information so that you can decide what to do whenever there is a outage or any disruption affecting your services. Now, knowing what's happening with AWS services at the moment is one piece of the puzzle. The other piece is making sure your own environment on normal cases is configured well and follows best practices. And that's where Trusted Advisor comes in. Think of Trusted Advisor as a built-in consultant that constantly looks at your AWS environment and gives you practical recommendation to improve it. It checks how you're using AWS and checks your setting and compares that to recommended best practices and provides you with different action plans on several main areas. For example, on cost optimization, it can help you find places where you might be wasting money. Or on performance, it helps you improve how fast and efficiently things are running in your environment. In terms of service limits, it warns you when you're close to AWS quotas. In fault tolerance topics, it helps you make your architecture more resilient. In operational excellence pillar, it suggests you better ways to run and manage your resources. And in terms of security, it checks for risky or unsafe configurations you already have in your account. To make these recommendations and checks more concrete, let's look at some of the types and examples that you might get right out of the box. When you create an AWS account, you automatically get a set of free Trusted Advisor checks. These focus mostly on security and basic safety of your account. For example, the first one would be security groups that are too open. Trusted Advisor checks your VPC security groups for every open rules like 000/0 for SSH or RDP or other services. And the other one would be it checks if you're using the root account for everyday actions. The root account is extremely powerful and should only be used for a few account levels. And if it detects that you're using it incorrectly, it'll warn you. The third check is related to MFA on the root account. It checks whether you have multi-factor authentication enabled for the root account or not. The fourth one is service limit checks. Trusted Advisor monitors if you're getting close to any AWS service quotas or service limits you have in your account. The next free check is public snapshots and storage access. It'll check for things like public RDS snapshots, public EBS snapshots, and overly open S3 buckets as well. These free checks help you avoid very common mistakes, especially around security and basic configuration. But if your workloads are bigger and more critical, you might want deeper insights and more advanced recommendation. And that's where upgraded support plans makes a difference here. If you upgrade your AWS support plan to Business or Enterprise, Trusted Advisor unlocks many more checks around cost saving, performance tuning, and resilience. For example, you'll get recommendation for idle resources that you can shut down to save money, suggestions to improve availability and fault tolerance, and more detailed guidance on performance and operations. So to quickly recap and help you remember the key ideas from this video, we can say there are two tools in your AWS account that help you stay reliable and follow best practices over time. The first one is AWS Health that helps you understand what's happening inside the AWS. It can show you whether if the AWS issue actually affects your workloads or not, and you can access that information via the console or through an APIs that you can plug in into your own tools. On the other hand, you have AWS Trusted Advisor that continuously checks your setup against AWS best practices, warns you about common security issues, configuration mistakes, and service limits. You already have several free checks right out of the box for you. If you wanted more insight and checks, you can upgrade your support plan to access more enterprise-grade advices. And that is it for this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I'll see you in the next video.